This episode, Sunburn. We're going to share some iPhone standing in line video, and then we'll take a first look at the iPhone, and I'll give my review. The Mac MediaCast Episode 5 begins now. Welcome to the Mac MediaCast. I am Joseph Nilo. This is your video podcast about Macs and media. Now, I'm sure many of you are here to see the review that I'm going to have of the iPhone, but if you'll stick around to the end of the show, especially if this is your first time, I'll tell you what the podcast is all about. So the iPhone. Yesterday was iDay, and I did brave the heat. I did get it, and I'm going to do my review in a second. But first, let's take a little look at my crappy handycam footage of what turned out to be a very long, hot day in the sun. June 29th, iDay. I'd seen the people waiting in the line in New York and California all week long, but there was no way that there would be lines like that in my little mountain town of Asheville, North Carolina. Or would there? I decided to do a drive-by of my local AT&T store right before lunch on Friday. Right now it's about 11:30 a.m. iPhone day. I'm gonna go do a drive-by, see what's going on, see if there's a line yet. That was my drive-by at about noon, a little before noon, at my local AT&T store here in Asheville, North Carolina, actually on the south side of Asheville. We have two stores that I believe will be selling these things. I didn't want to wait in line at this point. Like I said, it's noon, I have a lot of work to do today, and not that dedicated. So I have a state trooper behind me, so I'm going to let you go. I went home, tortured. I had planned on going out to the store at 4 p.m., but there already were people in line. I broke down. Okay, it is 1 o'clock. I went home, I finished some lunch, kissed my little baby daughter, and I am going to wait in line at the AT&T store. Can't believe I'm giving in. Can't believe I'm going to be sitting there for 5+ hours to get this darn phone. What I do for the podcast. So I'm going to report back soon. So 1 p.m. and it was hot. I was number 19 in line. A bunch of nice people in line ahead of me, and I got my camp chair and I'm ready to go. And we waited. The line grew throughout the day. There was an honor among the other waiters when one of us had to use the bathroom or go get a snack. I had the opportunity to speak with a few of my new friends about their experience. Greg was the first in line, having spent the night the previous night.
8 o'clock last night.
So you spent the night?
Yep.
What was that like last night?
It was great until the parking lot cleaners came by and made a big racket. And something wakes you up every 5 minutes, but it's worth it. You get to the end of the day, you're walking out the door, the first person with an iPhone.
And I also spoke with Zach.
We got here about 11 o'clock this morning, a little bit after. I got my Nano, I've got my MacBook, I got my PSP. It's not Apple. So.
Is this have you ever waited in line for anything like this before?
No, I never have.
Wait, T-minus 15 minutes. Everybody's pretty much insane. It's kind of hot here in Asheville, North Carolina. Met a bunch of nice people here. Hey, we're all ready to get our iPhones. I got here at 1 o'clock. It's now 5:45. I'll talk to you again in a little bit. When 6 p.m. came around, we were all ready. Maybe mostly because we wanted to be inside in the air conditioning. Of course, an AT&T dude came out and gave us lots of rules. Number 19, and it still took 45 more minutes to get inside and get the phone. But it was all worth it. It is now 7 o'clock. I have my iPhone right next to me. Here it is. I'm trying to maneuver out of this parking lot. I got here about 1 o'clock. I can't even remember now. I'll have to look back at the video. Hung out for hours and hours and hours, and I met some very cool people along the way. I hope they're checking out this video. So I can't wait to just play with it tonight and set it all up and stay up all night and review it for you. So I'm gonna head home and I will report back soon. We're interested in getting your impressions of the whole experience of getting the iPhone. Send all pics and stories to macmediacast@gmail.com. Submit any videos you have in the Brightco video submission tool at macmediacast.com. We'll feature the best stuff on an upcoming episode of the Mac MediaCast. So in the end, it was a great day. We had a lot of fun, met some nice new people. I'm glad I did it. So now, on to the review. First impression, awesome. The iPhone experience completely lives up to the hype. The experience is not flawless, with a few quirks I found so far, but it is definitely 1000% better than my Trio 650, hands down. My biggest disappointment was right off the bat, but not with Apple, with AT&T. I started my iPhone authorization at 8 p.m. Friday night and was not authorized to use my phone until 6 a.m. Saturday morning. That, for lack of a better word, sucked. Once I was authorized in the morning, the rest was easy. I did a quick sync of the phone, pretty much the same as syncing with an iPod, and I was good to go. So here's my overview of the phone. You've seen much of this in all the Apple videos so far, but what doesn't come across is how satisfying the experience is. Everyone, including me, was afraid of having no actual buttons, yet I'm finding multi-touch an even better and more intuitive way to do things. A few of my favorite features. Photos works very well. Web browsing is excellent, infinitely better than Blazor on the Palm. My Safari bookmarks synced over to the iPhone. YouTube is surprisingly fun. I wrote this off initially as fluff, but I'm enjoying it, especially on my wireless connection. Google Maps is awesome. A nice surprise feature is that when you're typing in an address, it tries to autocomplete with addresses from your contacts. Nice touch. You can even bookmark your favorites. I enjoy using this version even better than Google Maps Online. Weather and clock are pretty renderings of the familiar OS X widgets. The clock also has a handy timer, alarm, and stopwatch. All of the phone's settings are very easy to navigate and are very user-friendly to set up. Typing was better than I'd expected, though I can see why people are saying it takes a little getting used to. Putting periods and commas on another screen is a little awkward, but I do like that the keyboard changes depending on what application you're using. My tip is to start slowly. The visual feedback the keyboard gives is amazing. The letter won't type until you let off the screen, so if you miss, you can still slide your finger a little to the left or to the right, get the right letter, let off, and keep on typing. When I called my voicemail, the motion sensor turned the screen off when the iPhone went to my ear and turned it back on when I moved to press the button on the keypad. If I had a nickel for every time I put someone on hold or pressed a button with my cheek on my Trio, I'd be a wealthy man. So my negatives are minor and could definitely be fixed with software updates later. Not being able to shoot video is a drag, though the camera takes pretty good pictures. Having no games is also a small disappointment, but I bet this will be remedied shortly. In spite of Apple having Google all over this iPhone, I could not use Google Docs in Safari. I was looking forward to getting some work done on this phone. To sum up the positives, a broad observation I can make is that every feature on this phone is very intuitive in the way that only Apple seems to know how to do. This phone will be big not just with nerds like me, but across a large cross-section of people who are tired of their user-unfriendly phones. The iPhone has more than exceeded my expectations. So thanks so much for watching this special iPhone episode of the Mac MediaCast. If you've never been here before, I would love for you to subscribe to this podcast. You can do that at macmediacast.com. Now, what we're all about are Macs and multimedia. We have tutorials, news stories, product reviews, all sorts of stuff geared around Macs and video, audio, podcasting, web design, photography, all sorts of stuff. So check out our podcast. We'd love for you to stick around. Quick little bit of news. Many of you got a Color versus Final Cut Pro tutorial in your feed in iTunes recently, and that was totally a mistake on my part. I completely podcasted by accident. I put the QuickTime movie, a link to the QuickTime movie, in the feed, and you figure after all this time I would know how to podcast, so that was my mistake. I took it out. But go back to the blog. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Walter Biscardi, who works over at the Creative Cow, did a great tutorial I think all of you should see. So thanks again for watching the Mac MediaCast. If you'd like to support us, please share us with a friend, subscribe in iTunes. You can even email a lot of these videos from the website to other people. Keep clicking on those sponsored links. That helps support us monetarily as well. I'm Joseph Nilo for the Mac MediaCast, and we will see you again soon.